So I wanted to come out and film a video for you guys. I'm going to give you kind of the broad overview, but fill in with some detail on some of the stuff you can be doing that your competitors are not doing that will crush it. So, I still do a ton of direct mail, and I bring that up because I'm probably never going to stop doing direct mail. It works really well, but right now, the barrier to entry for sending out direct mail it's not very deep, so it's not very wide. They're fairly easy to send direct mail, and a lot of your sellers are getting postcards from 5 or 6 different people probably, sometimes in some cases even more than that. Now that doesn't mean that they're not going to call you. Chances are they're going to call those other people too. They're just not usually going to pick up their phone. I don't know why that is, but that's just the case. So always make sure you're answering your phone. But one of the things that I like about cold calling is you've got a captive audience. If you can get them to answer the phone, then you don't have to wait for them to call you. You call them. And you get them on the phone, you can use your negotiating skills to really try to work that deal. So let's just go through some of the process in which I'm following in order to be able to do this cold calling. So first of all, cold calling is just what it means. You're calling somebody, they have, they didn't ask you to call them yet. They've never maybe even heard of you yet. You're literally, following a process, finding their number, and then making a call. It's challenging in that sense because they're like, who the heck is this? So let's go through the process. So first of all, you're going to pull a list. So you got to figure out who you're going to call. You're going to pull a list. We use listability.com. Now so just to give you kind of what we pull from listability.com. Now all of this stuff is probably in your back office. But let's just go through it really quick. So first of all, we pull lists that are, we like high equity lists. So we pull lists that have 69% loan to value or greater. So what that means is there's at least 31% equity in that house or more. Okay, so we also pull a list in that same list. So you pull 69% loan to value or greater. You've got also they bought the house in 2011 or before, which means that they bought the house during the downturn of the market, so they got a really good deal. That also bakes in some equity just doing that. And also non-owner occupied, meaning they don't live in the house. That's a big one for us. If you go owner occupied, you can make that work. It's just your response rate is a lot less. We really like the non-owner occupied. So they don't live in the house, it's a rental property or it's vacant. So they've got a lot of equity. They don't live in the house, so it's not their primary residence. And they bought it back in the heyday or before, so they got a good deal. There's more equity there. So we get that list. Now you pull that list, you find whatever zip code it is that you want to do business in. Or if you're in a smaller area like me, we do like 5 or 6 different zip codes and more. Now you'll get that list. You'll pay, I can't remember off the top of my head what it costs. It's like, 5 to 10 cents per name or something in that range, maybe a little less. So you can pull a couple thousand pretty cheap, a couple $100 usually. And then you take that list and that list gives you the name of the person that owns the house, where that person lives, and also the investment property or the potential property you're trying to buy. It doesn't give you their contact info. You don't have their phone number. So you have to skip trace to get that. So the next step is you skip trace that list. We go through datafinder.com. I still to this day can't find any cheaper way to skip trace a bulk list. Datafinder is the best way that we found. So you run that list through datafinder.com. So you run the list from listability through datafinder.com. Now you have those phone numbers. Now once you have those phone numbers, it's time to start dialing. And you have to call the list. The script is fairly simple. You're just literally picking up the phone. You're going down the list, and it's all about dials. How many phone calls can you make in the course of an hour or a day? You're going to set aside 3 or 4 hours a day to do this, possibly more depending on what you have going on. One thing I want to mention is that, when you pull a list and you skip trace it through Datafinder, there's only going to be a certain percentage match. So they're going to say, hey, we have numbers for 34% of these people or 75% of these people. It's never 100%. So what happens is a lot of times when you make that phone call and you're going down the list and you're calling as fast as you can, what happens is you're going to get a lot of bad numbers. You're going to get people that say, I have no idea what you're talking about. I don't own 123 Main Street. I don't own any investment property. You're going to have fax lines and it's all of a sudden just going to beep. You're going to have wrong numbers. That's all normal. Expect that. Go into this knowing that some of the people are going to yell at you and your pickup, and they might own the house and they don't know who you are, or they don't want to talk to you, they don't want to sell, and they're going to tell you, take me off my list. They're going to yell at you for a couple minutes. That's all normal. That's part of the process. No big deal. Get used to it. They don't know who you are. Don't take it personally. It's cold calling, okay? So what all you're going to do is when you call out, you're just going to say, hey, hi, this is Matt, and do you own the property at 123 Main Street? And they're going to say something like, yeah, I own that property. What is it that you're looking for? Well, I'm a real estate investor in the area, and I'm looking to pick up another couple of properties and wanted to see if you'd be interested in selling. Are you interested in selling 123 Main Street? And they're going to say something like, well, possibly, how much will you give me for it? And they're going to want a price. Now, you don't know anything about 123 Main Street. You can't even give them a price yet. And so you say that. You literally say, well, I need to ask you a few questions so I can gather a little bit more information so that I can speak intelligently to you and make you a fair offer. Sometimes they're going to say, well, why did you call me when you didn't even know what you're going to offer me? And you just have to get through that and say, always just kind of remember, stay cool, calm, and collected. Again, not everybody's going to be mean. Don't think that, I don't want to paint the picture that everybody's going to yell at you, but it will happen. And just say, well, you can always pass it on to somebody else, especially if you are working with partners. Listen, I need to gather as much information as I can. I got to bring that back to my partner, and then we'll discuss the numbers and then make you an offer based on that. Always just try to work your way through it and get to the important stuff, which is filling out the lead sheet. Again, you want to use your own words. Stay cool, calm, and collected. Never raise your voice. Never fight back. There is some challenges to cold calling, but it is absolutely crushing it for us right now. So ask the person if you can just ask a few questions about the property, and start reading through the lead sheet. All of you guys have our lead sheet. It's been in the back office for a long time. And just roll in from that first part of that script right into the lead sheet and start asking them all the questions. Now, at the end, you need to get an estimated value. So after you get the lead sheet filled out, again, you can always say, Mr. Seller, thanks for all your time. I appreciate you going through. I'm going to get back with my partner, or I'm going to go work the numbers on this, and I'm going to call you back. And you're going to do exactly that. You're going to figure out a quick value of that property so you can make an offer. This is all about offers. So one of the things you'll notice when you fill out the lead sheet is you're going to find out how motivated they are. We only want to work with motivated people. If they're not motivated, you probably won't get the price that you need. Okay, so how do you get a quick value? Well, you can run Zillow comps. Now, I'm not saying go online and find the Zillow, the Zestimate. I'm saying go on Zillow and pull that address up and expand. There's a little expand button up on the right-hand corner. Hit that expand and it'll show you what some of the houses in the area in a nice little row have sold for. You can go down very, very quickly, and if everything is sold 150, 147, 156, 142, hey, I think this thing's worth about 145 grand. And according to the lead sheet, this guy's asking he would sell it for 125,000. Well, and they're motivated. He wants to sell. Why? You're going to go through the lead sheet. You're going to find their motivation. So then you can decide from there whether or not you're going to make an offer. I would call the person back and figure out, hey, I can offer 75,000 for this house, and figure out your numbers. You got to figure out what everything is, what you think you can wholesale that for. I've gone through a lot of training in the back office about how to figure out your formula. And let's say you decide you can make an offer for 75 grand. So you're going to call them back and make that offer. Remember, you're always, you want to, this is your opportunity to use your negotiating skills. This is how you get really, really good, is through practice and repetition. If you do this right, you're gonna make a lot of phone calls with cold calling. I mean, you're gonna make hundreds a day in some cases. And your ability to mirror their tone and mirror their speed in which they talk their words and build rapport and find their why and refer back to their why. Well, I want to sell this house because I really want to move down to Florida with the rest of my family, and this house is keeping me from doing that. Always keep that why within 2 to 3 sentences, and when you give them their offer, you'll be surprised at how making enough offers in the course of a day, how many deals you can get. I'll give you an example. In the other room, I'm sitting in my office in Davenport, Iowa, and right in that room is a guy I hired last week to do cold calling. His full-time job is cold calling. He's never done cold calling before. I literally I walked through the script with him. We practiced a couple times. I gave him a list. He started making calls, and he got a house under contract for me his first day. Now, his first week, I should say, and he only worked a few hours each day. He's already been, we probably got 3 or 4 other ones that are probably gonna go under contract in the next couple of days. He's gonna average a house a day for me probably within the next 30 to 60 days here. He's gonna be putting a house under contract every single day. I already see it happening. When you get one under contract your first week, it's building momentum. Remember, some of these leads that you talk to, you will not get a deal under contract right away, but if you follow up with them over a couple of weeks, if you get close, keep following up every 2 weeks. So you're gonna make offers, that's the main thing. Now I will tell you there is a cheat way to do it, what we do. When we call this list, we actually use a Mojo dialer. Now I didn't start out, Alex is his name in the other room here, I didn't start him out on Mojo, I made him call manually for the first few days, and that's how he got his first deal. Then we switched over to Mojo, and all of a sudden we're making about 200 phone calls on Mojo within about an hour, 2 hours sometimes, depending on how many people he talks to. So think about that, it's a little cheat. Now Mojo takes a second to kind of figure out and set up. They have a lot of tutorials if you decide to go that route, but you can make a lot more phone calls in the course of a day if you use an automated dialer. Mojo's basically a 3-line dialer. You can use 1 line or 2 or up to 3, actually go more than that. And it's dialing multiple numbers simultaneously, and then whoever picks up, the other 2 get a voicemail dropped to them. And you talk to just that one. You can also drop voicemails after every single phone call, and hundreds an hour, and you can speed up the whole process. This is how we know we're gonna get a deal a day from just cold calling, which is amazing. So anyway, that's the rundown of doing cold calls. You can capture, you got a captive audience. You can work that list. By the way, how many times are you going to call this list? 6 times. So you're going to call somebody today, and then I would go probably every 2 to 3 days. I would try to call that person back. So one list of 1,000 people, you're going to call that 1,000 people 6 times. So that's 6,000 dials. So that's going to take a little time to do, and you're not just buying a new list every day. You can work that list hard for a really long time and spend almost nothing to do that whole piece. I mean, you're in a few $100s between buying the list and skip tracing. After that, it's just dialing the number. So the cost per lead is very, very low. It just takes a little bit of your time, takes a little bit of grit, because you're gonna get told no a lot. It'll help you overcome rejection. But most importantly, you're gonna put houses under contract. You're gonna get a lot of practice, a lot of repetition. Your negotiating skills will be amazing. You'll be rejection proof after your first week, and you'll feel good about making offers. Everything else, all the other stuff that you do to drive leads and make offers will all become easy. So I highly recommend you guys do some cold calling, follow some of these steps, get it implemented right away, and watch those deals roll in. Hope this helps. We'll talk to you guys soon.